Uh, Hello, everybody. Welcome to the lab number 28. We are cooking and we're in the high 20s. We're about to hit our 30s. We're going to catch up to our own age soon.
Yeah, maybe. I got a while. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe we should do a giveaway for episode 30.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
so we'll pick another random review. Do we want to pick a platform or do we want to?
I mean, Apple
We
Podcast
can.
is the only place to leave a review at
All
the
right.
moment.
True. Okay, so give us a review on Apple Podcast, and we'll pick a winner and get send out a shirt.
Yeah, and if you do leave a review, please keep your eyes peeled for when we announce the winner.
If you won.
Because, yeah, if you actually. So, we're going to give away a t shirt. That's just, what we do. But keep your eyes open if you won, because we want to give you your prize, but if you don't claim it, we can't give it to you. So, yeah, pay attention. That's all.
Yep. And today we're going to be talking about the trans bodybuilding show. Cody and I have both done it. Cody's coached a couple people in it. We just talked to Mason last episode, who has won it before and participated a lot.
And Tommy.
And Tommy has done it, so we're just gonna keep racking up
Yeah.
some guest stars. But first off, how are you doing today, Cody?
I'm good. Probably the best I've been in a bit because, okay, so if anyone has been listening, an OG, I think in the beginning I was talking about ketamine treatments a little bit more, but I essentially just ran out of time to be able to even do them. So yesterday was the first time I was able to do it, and it was a different experience. It was probably the best experience I've had with it,
Ooh.
and the only difference is it was a higher dose, but I didn't consume. I didn't swallow the lozenges. You're just supposed to let them dissolve in your mouth and then hold it in your mouth, basically. So I was holding the spit in my mouth literally for 20 minutes trying not to swallow, because when you swallow it, it just stays in your system for so long and it makes you nauseous. And so I made that mistake one time, and it was 48 hours. I was just fucked up. It was awful. I would look at my phone and it was all bubbly and distorted, and I could hardly walk, or it was awful. So I took a little break.
Fair.
Had to get that out of my mind. So I had I could tell I needed it because with ketamine, I have so much anxiety. My nervous system just I was on edge constantly. I was just I didn't even have any really things to be anxious about. I was just my body was anxious, and so I was you know what, I think I really just need to do a ketamine treatment. And so today I'm oh my gosh, I feel I hit the reset button on my anxiety. So I'll get anxious, but it comes down.
That's awesome.
So that's why I'm I feel great today. But yeah, how about you?
It's been a crazy couple of weeks. It's just been really crazy busy. Which is great. I love being busy. It's all good things that I'm busy with, but it's just been a lot. So it's been a little bit hectic. I feel kind of like the week ran over me, and I'm just kind of hanging on the bumper, not letting go. But that's okay. Like I said, it's all good things. So it's just a lot of them at once. But doing all right. I'm going camping this weekend, so I'm just so close to my little break. And this is actually the last thing on my to-do list, is record with you fine folks. So I'm gonna be soaring on cloud 9. It's finally fall weather in Ohio, and well, it's been fall for a second, but it's just feeling really great outside. The weather's wonderful. I'm going outside, and being in nature is my happy space. So I'm just stoked, to be honest.
I mean, that sounds amazing. And we were just talking about the weather because it's funny because you're wearing this flannel shirt. You look so fall, and I'm just not. It's 95 degrees here in California, and I have been trying to manifest the fall weather by wearing beanies sometimes, but even today it's too hot for a fucking beanie. I'm like, this isn't happening. Fall doesn't want to be here, so I'm just jealous of
Yeah.
everything that you've got right now.
Yeah,
But
that's it. I'm living a good life right now, so I understand. I'm just really stoked going to the woods, and it's complete shut off. So like where we're going has no cell service at all. There's no Wi-Fi there. There's no TV. There's no nothing. So
that sounds like a horror film to
kind
start.
of, kind of. There's a radio, but
Wow.
and sometimes if you walk up the hill, you can get a signal on your cell phone. But it's kind of
Sounds dangerous.
yeah. But hey, I mean, we lived forever without cell phones until I was 16. So I had my
That's
first cell
true.
phone at 16. But I'm very much looking forward to it, just because like being plugged in all the time for work, like just like is can be a little draining. So to be
Yeah.
unreachable kind of sounds fun for a second.
I don't think that I've ever taken that kind of break before, to be real. Like, I could use it for sure, but it just makes me so nervous to do it that I haven't. So it's been years. I'm available. Like
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But that does sound nice to be able to like take a break. It's slightly scary for many reasons, but at the same time, I'm sure it'll probably feel like really good to recharge and literally just be like, I'm not looking at my phone and all that stuff. But
Nope.
yeah.
And I'll just be with my super scary golden retriever, so like she'll like be scaring everybody away, and my dog who instead of barking he just makes this high pitched cry sound at people. So that'll be great. I think people are gonna be very scared, so I'll be set.
So then you're
Serial killer
protected.
wise.
It's fine. Oh, isn't there some movie that's like literally about people who go on vacation in a cabin and they all die? I'm sure it
Probably
exists.
Cabin in the
In
Woods,
some.
I think.
Yes, yes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Which we are
So
going to Cabin in a Forest. So cool, cool, cool.
bring
Thanks.
uh bring a machete or something. I don't know. You can sword fight with the serial killer. Sorry.
Goodness. But yeah. So should we talk bodybuilding?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you competed in 2016, correct? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And then
2016 with Mason.
with Mason, and I did 2021 last year because I just saw the time hops.
Yes.
And so I think you still had the conference when you competed, right? So it used to be TransFitCon. And
Yes.
so it was a conference and bodybuilding show. What?
Sorry. Okay, so like, yes, there was a conference. 2016. I had never gone. I didn't know what to expect, and like, wow. The conference, I feel like half of it was canceled because no one was showing up for any of the presentations. I feel like they really tried to make it like the Philly Trans Health Conference, except for specifically for fitness, and it just failed miserably. I don't know. I don't know. It was just kind of disheartening for me because I had traveled all the way from California to go to Atlanta. The competition was great. I enjoyed all of that. It was just like the FitCon conference part was a dud. So after that, it no longer existed. They just stopped. So I just think they were like, you know what, this isn't working. But they continue the bodybuilding competition. Yeah. So for any OGs out there, there used to be a Trans FitCon, which you know what, like it's not a bad idea to have something like that. I feel like that should exist at some point still. But for now, we have this competition. As far as the competition goes, I mean, obviously we competed at like way different times. But the competition, of course, we have experiences that we want to talk about that as well. So yeah, what do you feel like? How was your experience? Like mine was a little different because it was such a long time ago, but yeah.
Right. So, I loved the camaraderie, and I think that's one thing that I cannot speak high enough about is the fact that we're gathering a bunch of people who have committed to their bodies and to doing this thing and getting up on stage and being vulnerable and being together. And that was, and I just remember that feeling backstage was so cool. And like, yes, there were some women there, but it just felt like such a brotherhood of all of the trans guys. Everybody was so positive and like, oh, you look so good and blah 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 blah, and everybody was saying that to each other, and everybody was helping out each other and talking about like it didn't feel competitive. Like that was the wrong way to say it, but it didn't feel competitive. Like it felt very like supportive, like and very great camaraderie. It was very cool to get to know people. So I would say that was probably my favorite part of the show.
Nice.
What was your favorite part? We'll start there.
I'd say probably the same thing. It was just like I felt comfortable. I didn't have any worries about, and I think I had never been around that many trans men in one time ever in my life. So I feel like that was the part that I loved the most. I was like, holy shit, I'm in a room full of people like me, and I don't ever get to experience that. I always like have this feeling of like discomfort or a little bit of fear. I mean, I'm socially anxious, so it's my usual by default. I always feel that way, but in this space, like I felt that way less, especially at a time where you're mostly naked, getting on stage, doing something terrifying. So I feel that the environment, just how warm and welcoming it was definitely like the biggest positive. And I remember Mason even being backstage, and he kind of gave this like older brother like speech of just being like, you guys, no matter what, I just, it's really brave of us all to be doing this. And I remember him saying that, and I like got goosebumps, and I just felt just kind of like at home and stuff. So that was definitely probably my favorite part as well.
Dope. I mean, yeah, because I think that's one thing that I think people don't really, and this is a bit of a tangent, but I think one thing people don't really understand is, especially even in a queer space, like as a trans person, so often you feel like an imposter, or you're going to have to educate or explain something to someone at some point. And to be in a group of just people like you just feels relaxing, no matter what it is, just because you're not going to have to, you don't have to put on any kind of show, even though we were at a show that, yes, we had to put on a show. But like, you don't have to like fake it. You don't have to educate anybody. You don't have to explain yourself, because everybody has the same experience. So that's pretty dope. Yeah. Cool. So after that, like, I think there was some maybe points of improvement that I think could be made with the show, just because I mean, there's always going to be room for improvement every year, but one thing I would like to see kind of more of is a little bit more education on the sport itself and kind of what bodybuilding is, as opposed to pageantry. Yes, pageantry does make up part of bodybuilding, because I mean, you are putting on a show. It's more than just standing up there. But I think just understanding and mimicking more of what they do in the other federations, in like the more mainstream federations like the NPC, would be not only cool to have, but also I feel like trans people deserve that. Like, we deserve to have that level of competition and of a show to be put on to really showcase what trans athletes deserve, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, totally. And I think that's the, like, kind of that feeling that there's this, it's hard to really explain with words, but you did it there pretty nicely there, of like saying, yes, like trans athletes deserve to compete comfortably at a high level. And I feel like it's just not really taken seriously enough. which I get that it's supposed to be inclusive, and that's kind of probably the main priority. But by doing that, the people who like basically ran themselves into the ground to show up on stage ready, they don't really feel included. It's like it's almost like you feel like you shouldn't be there, like maybe you should have done an NPC show or something like that, but it's like there should be a space where you feel comfortable, being yourself, but also that you feel excited and comfortable competing at a high level, I guess. Or, just it, the competitive nature of it, that's what sports are. It's competitive, and I don't know what else to say, but it's just like, yes, trans athletes deserve like to be serious within the sport that they're trying to compete in. And I think the way that they generally market it is what kind of puts the sour taste in my mouth. I heard multiple times of them saying that this is a great show for people to do for their first time, and then if they decide they like bodybuilding, they can compete in the NPC. And it's like, what if you like bodybuilding, but you want to compete in trans bodybuilding, and you want that to be just as serious and just as like, taken seriously, instead of being, just waking up and deciding I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition today and see if I like it. It's just like, that's not going to show you if you like it or not, because the prep, the controlled starving, and the hours of cardio and all that stuff, like that is bodybuilding. So you can't know if you like it if you don't ever prepare.
Yeah, and I don't think that's really at fault of competitors. I think there has to be some part of education. And so I don't
Yeah.
know who wants to kind of take that torch up and bear it in the community, but like understanding what the sport requires is something that is hard to find out until you do a lot of research. You have to really kind of immerse yourself in I hate to say it, but lifestyle, and all the media, and it can be really overwhelming, just because it's like all the professionals is what you're going to pull up, and it looks scary and too hard. And but I mean, that's kind of where anybody starts. There's just
It is too hard.
yeah,
Like, it's hard
but and and it can be scary, but you also can have big dreams and be a trans person. And I think
yes.
the first step for people to take us seriously, especially like in a bodybuilding community, is to take ourselves seriously. And like we want to show people like, oh yeah, that guy's clearly a freaking bodybuilder. Look at him. I mean, like we want that, right? And we don't want to be like labeled the trans bodybuilder because we want to be just as good as all the rest. But also, I want to be proud of saying I'm a trans bodybuilder. And I feel like that sounded contradictory, but I didn't want it to. I want it to be both. And I want to have that option. I want them to be synonymous. I don't want someone to say I don't want someone to say that is the trans bodybuilder. That's the only one, and that's where they belong. But I also want it to be equal. I don't know. Does that make sense? Am I rambling?
No, it makes sense. I think it's just really hard to navigate the right words, because it's like a feeling, right? And then it's like, you also know that these people that put on this show, they put a lot of work and effort into it. You don't want to like poo-poo on it. It's not what we're trying to do. It's more of just the people who compete generally go into it without, there's an ignorance to it, right? Like
Naivete.
yeah, the first time that I competed, like, I was naive as fuck and ignorant as fuck, but I still knew to a certain extent that there was things I needed to do and prep and, like, get leaner, or as lean as I could, and that was all things that I did on my own. So I don't know if it's something that, like, the organization could try to push out in an educational format, being like, this is what we're looking for. This is what bodybuilding is. Um, because like if people are not into bodybuilding or don't want to do what it takes to step on stage, then bodybuilding just isn't your thing. Like I'm sorry, but bodybuilding is an extreme sport, and I think a lot of people poop on this contest because they don't see it as bodybuilding. They're like, most of the people here are not prepping, they're not doing what a bodybuilding or a bodybuilder does to step on stage. And then even from like the outside perspective, people are like, okay, it's the only trans bodybuilding show. Okay. And then like, I don't know. I think that there's also a lot more like serious trans bodybuilders out there that have never competed because they feel like it's not for them. They feel like they're above it, right? So how do we get people in the trans community that are serious bodybuilders to not feel above it? Like we gotta like raise the bar somehow, right? I don't know how we can do this. I'm not saying that there shouldn't be a place for people that are beginners. I don't
Well,
really know the whole solution.
well, I think there is some place for beginners. So, like at regular NPC shows, like mainstream NPC shows, they have different classes, and novice
Yeah.
and true novice are those classes. So,
Yes.
just for everybody who doesn't know the intricacies of bodybuilding, because they're complicated. So, like, true novice means that they've never competed in a show before. Novice means they've never placed in a show before. And then there's the open, which is everybody else, essentially.
Yeah.
And then in those, like, what would you call those? Like, experience divisions, then there's going to be different divisions for categories. So like then there's your bodybuilding physique, classic physique, or if you're a female, you have physique, bodybuilding, and bikini. Um, and then they are also further divided into height and weight classes. So there's a lot of different kinds of divisions, and there's a lot of lingo and jargon that gets really confusing and overwhelming until you kind of watch a lot of it or read a lot of it. Um, but I think having those true novice and novice categories is key to helping people learn and get experience and grow in the sport. And those are those categories, I think,
Yeah.
that are made for that, in my
You know what?
opinion.
I think you just solved the problem.
Well,
It's like we need
yeah.
novice categories.
Yeah, that's what they're for, right?
Yeah. Okay, done. We can just stop talking now.
And time for the no, just joking, friends. But so what are some other like kind of things that you've like? Because I've watched NPC shows, but I've never competed in an NPC show. You've competed in them. What are some other things that you think maybe we could bring to a trans bodybuilding show that might help step up our quality and our caliber?
Yeah, I mean, definitely different categories. I also think it would be cool if they also had physique. If they could get it to be like categorized as close to an NPC show as we could, that would be great. I know that's a little different because we have categories according to gender identity. I don't think we need to like change that, although I do have a little bit of a beef with who they allow into the gender non-conforming category because I feel like a gender non-conforming category should be reserved for those who are not taking testosterone because there isn't really a place for anyone not taking testosterone. Like it's really, really unfair in that sense. So I do feel like there needs to be some limits to who can join the gender non-conforming. It shouldn't just be like whoever identifies as that because there was an individual who competed in both the gender non-conforming and they were just the mask 2 or whatever, and I felt like that was a little unfair, but that's just me. But as far as categories go, there's also masters categories for people who are older. I feel like that is a great category because there are some older guys who like to compete. It's optional too. It's just like the more categories or options that you have, it's hard. I know in this that it's like you have to fill those categories and it's not really a big enough competition yet, but that's another area that I feel like I have some slight beef with because it could be so much bigger. I think it's been going on at least until like 2014 era. Yeah, that I know of. And for that amount of time for this competition being around, it really hasn't grown.
Mm.
And so, in order to help it grow, I feel like there needs to be a lot more marketing. The social media is really, really lagging. There could be so much more that could be being built in the off season. It's like they put like two things out leading up to the show, and hardly anyone knows about it. So, if you want to bring up the quality of competition, more people got to know about it. Got to put the word out there, and it's. I feel like this year it grew a little bit,
Yeah.
and there were more competitors and more like impressive competitors, but it's still, I feel the marketing really needs to pick up. It needs to be something that is out there year round, and that could be an educational resource for people. Like put educational content up so people can start learning what it actually takes to compete in a bodybuilding competition. We need to show people you can't just start a prep like a week before, 6 weeks before, 8 weeks before. You are going to be much better off if you're starting your prep 20 weeks out. It's better to be ahead of the game than like trying to peel off fat like the day before because you're a Russian because you're way behind, you know. So
Right.
so it's like I feel as though if they upped the marketing, we're putting out educational content, like showing people, hey, look, you want to follow us because we're giving out some tips here. Also, you know, keeping people up to date and just hyping it up because it needs that. Yeah, I don't know
So,
what else to
well,
say.
I think those are all really good ideas and things that I think could step up the caliber. Um, and also, like, that is a lot of work, and I don't want to. And we know that the people who are working diligently at the organization are hard, trying hard, and all that, and it probably isn't a full time job, I would imagine, but this is like full time
Yeah.
job work. So I did want to give space to that. But the other things are a little bit simpler. I think there could even be like simpler um, fixes, suggestions that could be like having tanning at the shows.
Oh, yes.
That is professionally done. Um, I remember when I was doing it, I shaved my whole body and did all of my tanning in Cody's hotel bathroom, and with a little sponge, and it was very hard and very
Yeah,
time
it's
consuming,
not easy.
and also doesn't look as good as when it's done with the spray booth.
Right.
So I think that would help a lot. I think having like the killer lighting that's at the show at NPC shows would be cool. Um, with the with the music and like more audible. Those were some of the easier fixes. Oh, my other big beef, and this was from an athlete perspective, was please, oh please, switch it so the bodybuilders go before the powerlifters in term of timing in the day, because we all went on at like 7, I think, at night, like 6:30 or 7,
Yeah.
and I just remember being so sad the whole day. I was so hungry. And trying not to ruin my tan, so just walking around like a stick figure.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah, when I competed, we had a morning show and a night show because it followed the usual like NPC rules.
Mhm.
But COVID wiped that out for the usual NPC. I think it's probably back
I would
now.
imagine.
Actually, I'm not sure, but I feel like they probably. I don't even fucking know why we got to peak twice for this shit. Like, I feel like when COVID came and they just did everything in one round, I was like, sweet, dude, you get to eat sooner. You don't got to come back and worry about doing it again.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, if we're gonna stick to doing a one show, you know, morning is not a bad idea because you get to get the nerves out. You're not just waiting around all day in a tan, like really not being able to do much. Um, but yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be nice. Um, let's see what else. Posing, having posing clinics and stuff, and this could
Yeah.
go into the education portion of having the competitors understand a little bit more about what the posing entails and takes, because I think I know for a fact that they tell you what the mandatory poses are in the
Yeah.
handbook, but understanding how difficult posing is, because I think that's something that people don't really understand until like a month before the show. They're like, "Oh fuck, I didn't even think about posing." But posing is actually incredibly difficult. At least I found it incredibly difficult. I'm not a dancer, and I'm not saying that posing is dancing, but there's a lot of
Close.
similarities, and
Yeah.
and it was a lot harder than I expected it to be. And controlling your breathing while you're doing it, making sure you know your angles and know where it looks good. Um, Requires a lot more thought and preparation than I expected. I don't know if you had the
Yeah.
same feeling.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Like I was so fucking like I coached myself, right? So literally, I was putting together a routine in my hotel room, watching YouTube videos the day before. Don't want to do that. Do not fucking do that. Like I did everything you shouldn't do. Okay, people, learn from me. But I feel as though so if you go to the NPC website, right? They have so many educational videos that like it's hard to go into ignorant. People still do, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just feel like the education aspect of it. It's not necessarily the show's job, of course,
No.
right? But it would be helpful, I think, to really like raise the bar, and so people aren't coming into it unprepared or ignorant. And the tanning aspect, I feel like this year, well, like every year they say they don't supply tanning, uh, but they used to say it was because they couldn't supply tanning for all skin variations, and also they some people are allergic to it, so they didn't want to like do it. But they didn't even write that this year. So I don't know if they're just like, oh, that wasn't really true. We just, I don't know. But tanning is part of like taking care of your athletes. Like making sure that they have what they need because you have to purchase your own tan. And for people that are going alone, that's a huge disadvantage because you don't have anyone to help you out. I went by myself, so like me and Rufio we're tanning each other and we don't know each other very well, so it's kind of awkward just to be like naked in front of a stranger. But I mean, you got to do it for tanning anyways, but it's a lot less painful because it's quick. But yeah, so
Plus that,
supplying your athletes with tanning would be step number one.
plus those tanners, like the people who do tanning at bodybuilding shows, like that's like the whole job of the tanners. Like
Yes.
they do tanning for bodybuilding shows, period. Like, so they're used to seeing people naked all the
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Not that the bodybuilders are, but the tanners don't give a hell. Like, they don't give a fuck. Like, they're like,
No.
whatever, this is.
It's
We spray you
literally their
down.
job.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
And and something people don't know either is like people of all skin variations, colors, they all tan.
yeah.
All of them. It's not just a white people thing. Like everyone does it, and it's actually to level the playing field because if people like someone's like why don't they just do different lighting? It's because like if you adjust the lighting just for white people, what the fuck is that gonna do? Like
Yeah.
the easiest way to do it is to make the white people not so white.
Yeah.
So that is the whole idea. It's more racist if you don't have tanning in lighting. So there's a lot of people out there that are like, why you tan? That's like blackface. And I was like, no, can we not go there?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is necessary. And it makes you look so much better. And it does stain
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Otherwise, like, you just get washed out by the lighting. And I have an Instagram post that I posted an example a while back. Maybe I should post it again. But there's two people. It's the same stage. One is tanned and one is not. And it is miles of difference. Like the person that is not tanned, you cannot see shit. It's just they're not even like a super fair complected person either, and you still can't see shit. So it's just the lighting is intense. You gotta tan, or else all your hard work you can't see anything, and that's all it's about. It's not because we think it looks good.
Right.
Like we don't do
No
that.
one thinks it
It's
looks good.
orange.
Yeah.
No, it's awful.
And it's not fun. It is not fun to have. It is
No,
not fun to stain all your shit. It's not fun. So
shave your whole body and
definitely not fun. And it's very itchy
no.
growing back. Not would
Ugh,
not recommend.
yeah.
But required. Well, necessary, I'll say. Let's see. Um if you could do your own, if you could have like your dream trans bodybuilding show, what would it be like?
Um, Honestly, like I think just the organization of it being a little bit better, but also, more people and serious athletes feeling like they can compete there too, and that they're not like above it. Um, I think just having it run as close to an NPC show as possible, that would be ideal, and not being like, oh, you only competed in the trans show, that doesn't count,
Mm-hmm.
so um, I would like to see it evolve from that and it being a bigger thing. And uh, I know also something that I've noticed, this is kind of not on the same thing, and I don't really know how we change this, but I see, so last year, um, so Mike from Renaissance Periodization, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he's friends with Janae. How do you say her
Yeah,
name?
Janae.
So she's a judge for the powerlifting meet and the bodybuilding. She was last year. But he put it out that there was a trans bodybuilding and powerlifting. It was very interesting to see the public's reaction to it. Everyone was cheering, but not for the reason you would think. They were excited because they were like, this is how it should always be. Trans people should have their own category. And that was like, you motherfuckers. So I don't know how we changed that idea, but it's like this space exists for us, not for you. It's not so we aren't like up in your sports. It exists because it helps us feel more comfortable and safe. But like, I, I don't know. That's just something, that was an observation that I found very interesting. I know that there are other trans people that don't like it too because they think it's segregation, and I can see that.
Yeah, I
I can
agree.
definitely see that. But how do we change that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's getting back to that feeling that I was trying to explain. Like I want what would be super nice is if one day 10 years from now the trans bodybuilding show there is one that's huge and awesome because I do think a lot of trans people are getting into bodybuilding because they're understanding everything that me and you fell in love with. They're understanding how it makes us feel euphoric in our bodies and how it makes us proud of our bodies when we have never had that before. And I think a lot of people are recognizing that and starting to get into it and they're like really loving it. And and I think that's why bodybuilding does attract trans people. And what I think one day it would feel really nice to have is it to be like a home show. Like a show that like is something that would attract all of our trans bodybuilders throughout the country and out throughout the world. Hell, why are we limiting ourselves? That it would bring us all out of our regular NPC regions, almost to be like, oh, I just really want to go and have a fucking blast and still get that camaraderie and still try to take that title and still compete on that high level. But we can do both, but it almost feels like a homecoming, like in football, like you know what I mean? Is that making any
Yeah,
sense? But
totally.
it would just be so cool, like to have like the super like almost like the gay games, like the same concept,
I was
right?
gonna say that.
And,
Yeah.
like something along the lines of like just like oh yeah, I love that I can win this NPC show, but I would really love to win the trans show. Like that would be so cool when I can like compete against my brothers and compete against all these people and also be cheering them on just as loud as I can on the sidelines. It would be so fun. And I think that is what I would love and have like the best judges out there who know exactly what they're looking for and who are completely unbiased and just like stoked. And like I can only imagine what that energy would feel like, just to feel like that homecoming when with so many people there. That's what I picture, like it
Yeah.
just being like
Yeah.
fun.
No.
Like I don't know. Is that, yeah, I think that's what I would want.
Totally.
I think, and then like what would be really cool is if it started with that and then like had like a FitCon aspect after that, like with like
Hmm.
maybe when we're not as hungry and grouchy, then we
Yeah.
can talk, and then we can maybe have like posing clinics for the younger guys coming up or people who are just getting into it for the true novices, and then once everybody's fed and stuff, and like maybe then some time to do education for the next year, and then like you can start promoting it up and like almost in a continuous feed loop, right? And so get people excited again, get people like share ideas, um, do like panels and stuff like that. And I think that would be really dope. And I think it would be really cool to like even like one day incorporate that show into the NPC Federation and make it like a
Yeah.
NPC trans show. I don't know. I don't know if that kind of thing exists or if it's a dream, but like that would be
I mean,
that is my dream.
it doesn't hurt, but like, yeah, I think it'd be cool to have, like have how NBC shows have expos and stuff, right? Like the
Right.
Arnold, the Olympia, whatever. So it's essentially, I feel like how TransFitCon kind of tried to make it, kind of. But it would be so cool to not just have like the one location, but have like a tour of trans bodybuilding shows, because it's not very accessible right now.
That's
Like
true.
it's expensive. Me flying to Atlanta from California, and bodybuilding is an expensive sport.
Yeah.
It truly is, if you are doing it seriously. So like if we could get locations on the West Coast, that would be fucking amazing. I feel like there would be a lot more people who would have the opportunity to compete. And like, there's nothing wrong with Atlanta. It's just that if we had more locations, we could
We
bring in
could
more
put it in the
people.
Midwest.
Or the Midwest.
Well,
We
the
could go
Midwest
to
is in the
Columbus.
middle.
We could do the Trans Arnolds, you know?
Trans Arnold. I will pump you
But
up.
yes. So it's just like, I feel like my biggest beef is that I feel like there's a lot of lost opportunity happening. And I want to see it get bigger. I want to see it grow and become more competitive and all of these things. And there's a lot that needs to be done, I feel like. And I know resources are limited, and it's probably a lot of volunteer work, and it's not something that, like just 1 to 5 people can all take on. So, I don't want to shit on it because I am ignorant of the logistics of everything. There's probably a lot behind the scenes that I don't understand and that I don't know. So I don't want to just be like, they got to do all of this. They should be doing this, because obviously I am not doing these things. So I don't want to be like, oh, I know better. I do not. I'm just speaking from like the competitor standpoint or a coach standpoint. Um, yeah, I think there just needs to be some maybe gradual improvements. Like if we could try just one step at a time, but it just feels like every year there's not much change, and yeah.
Yeah, this is kind of harkening back to something you said a couple minutes ago, but I think the Trans FitCon I think was almost like ahead of its time. Like I mean, we've come a long way as trans people, as a community, as a social world. I don't know the right words to say, but I think it has came a long way, and I think Instagram has helped blow it up, and social medias and stuff like that. And so I think we're ready to try it again. Is what I maybe. I don't
Yes.
know.
Yeah.
Or,
Because sorry.
no, just keep like you said, like improving and making it bigger and better and expecting more out of the community, because I think when you really love something or you really do care about something, you try to make it better. You hold it accountable, and it's kind of
Yeah.
going back to the same thing we kind of hearken on a lot of times, and it's like that's like the ultimate form of self-care, and is taking care of it and like expecting things out of it. Like that's why you expect things out of your kid or your dog or whatever. I don't know.
Right. No,
Got to
that's
take care of it.
I was just thinking that like so like when people compete in an NPC, right? There are these expectations. You are going to bring your most shredded, biggest self, right? And you know, if you don't diet or prep for the show, you don't belong on the stage, and they're very very much open to be telling you that, right? So, I feel like it's almost a disservice to the community because it's almost giving this message of you're incapable of bringing this to the stage. So we're going to lower the standards. It's like, fuck that. Like, what happened to be like trans people can do anything they want, you know? Like, if we are going to actually believe that statement, we need to like raise the expectations, raise the bar, and hold trans people to the same standard because like you
You can.
yeah, yeah, it's like it's okay, you can hold trans people to high standards. We're capable, man. Like, show us that you believe that we are capable. Like, I believe I'm capable, so I'm gonna fucking do my best, and I don't want anyone else believing otherwise. And I think this message of just being like, well, if you like it, then you can do an NPC show later. It's like, how
Yeah.
about if you like it, you can keep competing next year? I don't know.
Yeah, you can come back and defend your title.
Yeah.
And like just as a reminder, trans people are strong as fuck. Do you know anybody else who's gonna stab themselves every freaking week for the rest of their lives? Like
Yeah.
we're
Bodybuilders.
true, but also like I it takes a lot of fucking guts and a lot of self belief and courage to do what we're doing every fucking day. If you can do that, bodybuilding ain't no sweat. Like that's just logistics. So I think again, holding the community to what we can do and showing it off. Like we're just as fucking good, and we deserve to have like. I want NPC people to be jealous of our show. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
that. How tight would that be?
Like that would be fucking amazing. And I don't know. I don't know how, but for some reason I feel like, you know, if we do raise this bar and we are given the same expectations as cis people, that there will be less of this feeling of segregation because it's a choice. You know, like I chose to compete in this competition because this is the one that I wanted to do. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted to compete against my trans brothers and sisters. Like, I want it to mean something. And I feel at the current state, it doesn't really mean anything. And it sounds awful to say, but like people are just like, oh, cool. Yo, on the trans show. Yeah, whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
I want it to be a big deal. How we get there, I don't know, but I hope it does.
Yeah. And like, and I think it will one day. I think it will. I think we just have to keep having these conversations and keep getting people on board because again, we're a community. What we say goes. Like we are the ones in charge of shaping this community. So like if we want a better show, then we bring the better show, right? So it's about getting us old guys out of retirement or not retirement, off the fucking bench and getting Tommy back on stage, getting Mason back on stage,
Yes.
and like bringing us, right? Like you like it's our responsibility as a community. It's not anybody's. Like we're not pointing fingers, and I don't want that to come across as it. I know it sounds like it is, but it's mostly just because there's only one show. So,
Yeah.
but because I mean, I'm happy. I love that I competed in it. I had a great experience, and nothing's gonna take that away or tarnish that for me. I'm just saying, in the future, I would love to come back. I would love to do it again, but right now it didn't seem right. And I have other goals, and but maybe one day we'll both go again. So who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like that feeling you have is it didn't seem right. That's the feeling I want to change.
Yeah.
It's like there's obviously there's a lot of trans bodybuilders that don't feel like they should be allowed to compete
Hmm.
because it's like they're like up here, and it's like nah, we need to like somehow flatten that idea and just be like everyone belongs here. High athletes, new athletes, that's where it's like the classes come into play. And it has so much potential. Like it fucking, it was my first experience. It lit a fire under my ass and made me realize I love bodybuilding. So it's like, of course, it's always going to have a special place in my heart. Obviously, I wouldn't be sending clients there if I, thought it was a
Right.
complete bad idea. It's just like, my goal of bringing my athletes to this show is to raise the bar. And so far, hopefully, I've been doing that. But it's just
I think
like,
so.
yes. But yeah, that has been my goal is like to raise the bar. And I feel like that it should hopefully over time continue to be that way. But I feel like there's probably some more action steps that can be done. But overall, of course, I haven't heard of anyone that's been like saying it was like the worst experience in their life because it is a very personal thing, and at the end of the day, you're still getting to do something that you love, and you get to experience standing on stage, and you get to experience feeling proud of your body. And as a trans person, that's super fucking hard. So its existence has definitely like paved a whole different path in my life than I ever expected. So I'm very
Yeah.
grateful for that. I am more grateful for it than I am like critical of it, of course. It's just this, I want to see it be even better because it can.
Right. Right. And I think I I think what I said earlier, like we as a community just need to demand it and make it happen. And I think it's as simple as
Yeah.
that. And this goes for me, it goes for you, it goes for everybody. Like we have to all kind of pitch in where we can, and I guess just will it into existence.
Yeah. And I think also, so they have kind of made some steps forward to make it more like NPC. Like when I first competed, there wasn't a league. You didn't pay like a membership fee or anything like that. I know they had this intention of creating more locations. I know there was talks of doing like a West Coast show, but it just hasn't ever evolved. And I feel like it could have by now. But even if they have to like raise membership prices to make these other things happen, like I feel like that's appropriate. It's the NPC membership is like $200, I think. So I think theirs is about 45. Do you remember
Yeah,
how much
I
it
think
was?
it's like 40 or so.
Yeah, so like I understand wanting to keep costs low, but what if there was some sort of like scholarship thing for people who really, really couldn't afford it?
Hmm.
Or like raising it up so that it's just offering a better experience, and it's sucky, but it might be something that is a necessary evil.
Yeah. I mean, the world runs on money, whether or not we agree and support that. It's just part of life right now. So
Yeah.
until we go back to the barter system, and I'm fucked because I have no
Yeah.
real skills.
Well, I
Just
mean,
joking. Just joking.
yeah, there's always stripping. That's a good little barter.
That's true.
It's like
Give me
Kai
a good
Green,
time. Cody's gonna have his feet out there. All right, who wants to lick them? I don't know what people do with feet. I'm not sure.
I I don't know why people are obsessed with my feet. Like, if anyone it doesn't follow me, for some reason, like my anonymous question things always is about feet. Like, wanting to see my feet, or when they see my feet, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I understand. Like, so it's a thing. I never go barefoot. And the only time I go barefoot is like when I'm on stage bodybuilding because I just like my feet covered. I'm very immodest with my feet. So I feel like maybe that is what bred this obsession. Because I always wear shoes or socks even inside.
Gosh, give the people what they want, Cody.
I have I have fucking Flintstone feet, so people don't really want to see that.
That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Do you sleep in socks?
I do.
Oh my gosh.
Except
hilarious.
if it's like really hot, I'll take them off. But yeah, I sleep in socks. It must be like a safety comfort thing for me for some reason. Like maybe I just thought there were monsters under the bed, so I was like, socks will prevent the monsters from grabbing my feet.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. All right, I think that's all I had about it. Did you have any other final thoughts on it?
I think that's it. I think overall, I don't want people to feel like we're just criticizing the shit out of it, because I am very thankful for it. And I'm glad that it does exist. And, there's a lot of mixed feelings about it around there. I think just my main thing is that bodybuilding is an extreme sport. I don't want them to create a new definition of bodybuilding, because trans people deserve to have a sport that they can compete in amongst other trans people. And I just want people to feel encouraged to do their best. I want trans people to know that they are capable of getting super fucking shredded, just like any other person. And I think it's okay that we raise the standards for trans people. We're ready for it. We're capable. Let's do it.
Yep. Let's go, team. Everybody's hands in. 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
All right, you got the power talk for us today?
Yes, I do. So let's pull that up. Whoa, where'd it go?
Roro.
Oh,
Did you see that Velma from Scooby-Doo's lesbian, by the way?
What? No.
Yeah, in the new Scooby-Doo, she's going to have a love interest.
Oh, that's going to piss a lot of people off. I like it.
I know. Scooby-Doo was my favorite show when I was a little kid, so sorry. I don't know.
Really?
Oh, it's because I said Retro. Yeah.
Well, that's rad. Yes. Okay. So, Power Talk. This is from James Clear. Shocker. But
it's been a while, I feel like.
Yeah, we haven't, done a James. And it's a new one. It's not from his book. It's like his email. So, okay. So, simple mindset shifts. I'm not hurt. I'm healing. I'm not losing. I'm learning. I was not rejected. I was redirected. Negative things happen. Negative mindsets make them harder. So I liked this. Well, first, because I just am dealing with injuries. So the whole I'm not hurt, I'm healing thing. Well, hopefully. But,
hey,
yeah,
don't let that negative in there.
It just kind of shows how, like, your perspective or your attitude towards something, even when shit is hard, you always have the ability to make shit harder for yourself by just focusing on the negative. And I promise, like, I am that person. I will focus on the negative. It's hard for me to not be that person, but I try not to be. But so this was like a good reminder to be like, oh yeah, by the way, Cody, don't just like be the Debbie Downer of your life, and try to have a good perspective. I think, it's okay to have pity parties and feel the shit you need to feel sometimes, but feel it and then let it go and try to move on and keep moving forward towards your goals, because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere and you're just going to make yourself more miserable. So it's like you can't control what the world throws at you, but your effort it's always in your control. So yeah,
love that. I think that's a really good one, especially going into the weekend and especially going into the winter. I know the winter is really hard for people, so stay positive out there.
It's Monday for other people, so
true.
Going into the week, yeah.
I forgot.
But you could have a great weekend disconnected.
I bet. It's been a weird week, friends. I'm sorry.
You're like, I'm just ready to go, okay?
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 28. Remember to like, review, and subscribe. And we're going to give away a t-shirt for episode 30. So you got 2 episodes to get your names and reviews in. Till next time,
Yes,
friends.
yes. Oh, also, can't forget. So essentially, Kel and I here have a lot of things happening with the lab, like a lot of exciting things that we are building. Something very big that we will be launching, announcing. So we have created an email list if you want to stay like up to date with everything that's going on, so we can you get a little inside look, of what we are building, launching in the future. So I will put the link to sign up for the email list. I'll also put it out on the Instagram. So just everyone keep an eye out. We aren't going to spam your inbox. It's just so you can like stay in the know. Or if we have giveaways or discounts or whatever, it's not something we're going to be like every day you're getting an email from us. I promise. No one has time for that. We will not do that to you. So yeah, that's it.
All right. This was another episode, and goodbye, friends.
Goodbye.